Hey there, welcome back to Story Slices, where we slice through the best Reddit tales just for you. Let's dive right into the first story. The first one is the Tittle story and it starts like this. Let me tell you about the most satisfying revenge I ever got against an entitled co-worker who just couldn't keep her hands off other people's food. This happened about 2 years ago when I was working at a large marketing firm in Chicago. I have some health issues that require me to follow a strict diet. Because of this, I spend my Sunday afternoons meal prepping and carefully portioning out my lunches for the week. I also occasionally order from this amazing local Caribbean catering place that makes special dietary accommodations. It's not cheap, usually around $15 to $20 per meal, but it's worth it to have healthy food that actually tastes good and meets my dietary needs. Enter Karen, not her real name, but she was such a stereotypical Karen that nothing else would fit. She was a mid-level manager in another department who somehow got it into her head that the office kitchen was her personal buffet. She'd regularly take other people's clearly labeled food from the fridge, claiming it was an honest mistake or that she thought it was communal. The first time it happened to me, I had brought in some grilled chicken with roasted vegetables that I'd spent hours preparing on Sunday. I went to grab my lunch around 1 p.m., only to find my container completely empty except for a few sad pieces of broccoli. I was furious but tried to keep my cool. I sent an email to the office asking who might have taken my clearly labeled lunch by mistake. Karen responded saying she thought it was leftovers from the client meeting yesterday and offered to buy me a $5 sandwich from the vending machine to make up for it. I explained politely but firmly that this was my specially prepared meal for my medical diet, and asked her to please not take my food again. She got huffy and said, "Well, how was I supposed to know? You should mark it better if it's so special." Mind you, my containers were labeled with my full name in big letters. This became a regular occurrence. At least once or twice a week, my food would disappear. I tried different containers, bigger labels, even putting notes saying private medical diet, do not take. Nothing worked. I caught her red-handed a few times, but she'd just wave it off with excuses like, "Oh, I was in such a rush I didn't even look at the label," or "I thought you were sharing with the office." I went to HR multiple times. They sent out general emails about respecting others' property, but claimed they couldn't do much without proof it was her, despite multiple witnesses. I even tried keeping my food in a locked lunchbox, but somehow she managed to break the lock one day. The final straw came when she stole an expensive catered meal I'd ordered for a late meeting. I had specifically ordered this amazing jerk chicken with rice and peas from my favorite Caribbean place. They made it specially without certain ingredients I can't eat, and it cost me nearly $30 with delivery. I was saving it for a 6 p.m. client call. Around 2 p.m., I walked into the break room to get some water and found Karen eating my meal, container label clearly visible. When I confronted her, she had the audacity to say, "Oh, this? It's delicious. You should try the restaurant sometime. I ordered it for lunch." I lost it. "Karen, that is my food. The container has my name on it. I ordered it for my meeting tonight." She just shrugged and kept eating. "Well, you shouldn't leave such good food just sitting in the fridge. Besides, you can just order another one." That was when I decided enough was enough. If she wanted to steal my food so badly, I'd make sure she got exactly what she deserved. I spent that evening researching super hot peppers and spices. I'm talking ghost peppers, Trinidad scorpion peppers, pure capsaicin extract, the really serious stuff. I ordered some online and waited patiently for my revenge. The next week, I prepared my usual meals but with a twist. I made 2 sets, my regular meals in a secure container I kept at my desk, and decoy meals loaded with an unholy amount of ghost pepper powder and capsaicin extract. The decoy meals looked identical to my usual food and had my standard labels. I made sure to document everything with photos and videos of me preparing the food and clearly marking it as my own property. I also did my research on food tampering laws. Technically, I wasn't tampering with anyone else's food. I was simply preparing my own very spicy meals. There's no law against making your own lunch extremely hot. I even added a small note in fine print that said, "Warning, contains extremely hot peppers." Not that Karen ever bothered to read labels anyway. The first day, I put my ghost pepper chicken in the fridge and waited. Sure enough, around noon, I heard screaming from the break room. I walked in to find Karen bright red, tears streaming down her face, chugging milk straight from the carton. "What did you do to your food?" she screamed between gulps of milk. I acted completely innocent. "What do you mean? That's my lunch that was clearly labeled with my name. Did you take it without permission again?" "It's burning my mouth. You did this on purpose." I enjoy very spicy food. As you can see, the container was clearly marked with my name, and even had a warning about hot peppers. "Why were you eating my lunch without permission?" She stormed off to HR, still crying and hiccuping. I was called in shortly after. HR rep, "Karen has alleged that you deliberately tampered with food to cause her harm." Me, I did no such thing. I simply prepared my own lunch, which was clearly labeled with my name. I've complained multiple times about Karen stealing my food. I have documentation of all these incidents. I enjoy spicy food and have every right to prepare my meals how I like them. The container even had a warning about hot peppers. Karen? He's lying. Nobody eats food that's spicy. He did this to hurt me. Me? Would you like me to eat some of it right now to prove it's just my lunch? I proceeded to eat a big forkful of the ghost pepper chicken while maintaining direct eye contact with Karen. Yes, it was extremely hot and I was dying inside, but years of eating spicy food had given me a pretty good poker face. Karen's jaw dropped. The HR rep looked uncomfortable. Well, it seems there's no evidence of food tampering. However, Karen has admitted to taking your clearly labeled food without permission multiple times. Karen, this needs to stop immediately. But Karen wasn't done. Oh no. A few days later, I was served with papers. She was suing me for deliberate food tampering with intent to cause harm and demanding $50,000 in damages for her pain and suffering plus medical bills for her severe internal distress. Fortunately, I had documentation of everything. Emails to HR about the food theft. Witnesses who had seen her stealing food. Photos and videos of my meal prep with clearly visible labels. The warning label about hot peppers. Security camera footage from the break room showing her taking my food. My own medical documentation showing I require a special diet, which she had repeatedly stolen. Records of all the times she had admitted to taking my food and brushed it off. The judge took one look at the evidence and dismissed her case with prejudice. Here's my favorite excerpt from the ruling. The plaintiff admits to knowingly and repeatedly taking the defendant's clearly labeled food without permission. The defendant has the right to prepare their personal food items according to their own preferences, including the use of hot peppers. The container was properly labeled with the defendant's name and included a warning about pepper content. Any distress experienced by the plaintiff was a direct result of their own choice to consume food that did not belong to them. The court finds no evidence of food tampering or malicious intent. Case dismissed. Karen had to pay my legal fees too. The look on her face when the judge read the ruling was priceless. The aftermath was even better. Word got around the office quickly. Karen became known as the pepper thief and was routinely mocked for trying to sue over stealing someone else's lunch. People would leave bottles of hot sauce on her desk as a joke. Whenever she entered the break room, someone would inevitably ask if she wanted to spice up her lunch. She ended up transferring to another department and eventually left the company entirely. I heard through the grapevine that she had trouble explaining to potential employers why she left her last job, especially since the lawsuit was public record. These days, nobody touches my food in the office fridge. I still keep some ghost pepper meals in rotation though, just in case anyone gets any ideas. The best part? I actually developed a genuine taste for super spicy food during this whole ordeal. Those ghost pepper chicken meals are now part of my regular rotation, properly labeled with warnings, of course. The whole experience taught me a valuable lesson about standing up for yourself and documenting everything. It also showed me that sometimes the best revenge is simply letting people face the natural consequences of their own actions. Plus, I gained a new appreciation for Caribbean hot peppers. I still can't believe someone would be entitled enough to repeatedly steal clearly labeled food and then try to sue when it didn't turn out how they expected. The audacity of some people never ceases to amaze me. But at least I got a great story out of it, and my lunch hasn't been touched by anyone else since. A few weeks ago, I ran into Karen at a local supermarket. She turned bright red, not from ghost peppers this time, and practically ran down the aisle to avoid me. I may have called out, "Hey Karen, they've got some great hot sauce on sale in aisle 5. As she fled? Petty? The story spread through the local business community, and I still occasionally get people asking me if I'm the ghost pepper guy who got sued over spicy lunch. I've even had HR representatives from other companies reach out for advice on handling office lunch theft. My story has become something of a cautionary tale in corporate circles about respecting other people's property, and a reminder that karma sometimes comes with a generous side of ghost peppers. So remember, folks, don't steal other people's food. You never know when that free lunch might come back to burn you. Update. It's been about a year since my original post, and a lot has happened that I wanted to share. The story actually took some interesting turns after Karen left our company. First off, it turns out my post about the incident went viral on several workplace-focused social media sites. I started getting messages from people who had dealt with similar situations, and many HR professionals reached out asking if they could use my case as an example in their workplace training materials. I agreed, figuring it might help prevent other people from dealing with lunch thieves. About 3 months after Karen left our company, I received notice that she was trying to appeal the judge's decision. Her new lawyer claimed they had new evidence that I had deliberately set out to harm her. Their evidence? Some of my co-workers' social media posts joking about the incident and calling it revenge. I immediately contacted my lawyer, who actually laughed when he saw their appeal. He explained that social media jokes after the fact didn't constitute evidence of prior intent, and that all our original documentation still stood. The appeal was denied within weeks, and Karen was ordered to pay additional legal fees. But here's where it gets really interesting. Remember how I mentioned Karen had trouble finding a new job? Well, about 6 months ago, she actually applied for a position at our company's main competitor. A friend who works there told me what happened next. Apparently, during the background check, they found the lawsuit records. When they asked her about it in the interview, she tried to spin it as a misunderstanding about shared office food. The interviewer, who had actually read my viral post, asked her directly if this was the ghost pepper incident. Karen apparently turned red and started making accusations about me poisoning her. The interviewer then pulled out their company's new food theft policy, which had been implemented after my story went viral, and asked Karen to read it aloud. The policy specifically mentioned that employees who take other people's clearly labeled food do so at their own risk, and the company is not liable for any consequences of consuming food that isn't theirs. Karen didn't get the job. On the home front, my company actually made some positive changes because of this incident. They installed cameras in the break room and implemented a strict food theft policy. They also bought assigned mini fridges for employees with medical dietary needs. I got one of the first ones, and it has a really good lock. The best part? They promoted me to team lead 6 months ago, partly because of how professionally I handled the whole Karen situation. My boss specifically mentioned that my detailed documentation and calm approach to conflict resolution showed leadership potential. I also got an unexpected apology from our HR department. The head of HR called me in for a meeting and acknowledged that they should have taken my initial complaints more seriously. They've since updated their harassment policies to specifically include food theft as a form of workplace misconduct. The story has become something of a legend in our local business community. At a recent industry networking event, someone actually introduced me as the ghost pepper guy who stood up to lunch theft. I've embraced it. My team even got me a custom lunch bag with a ghost pepper design for my birthday. As for Karen, I heard through mutual connections that she finally found a job at a small company in another state. Apparently, she brings her own lunch every day and keeps it in a locked container at her desk. I guess some lessons stick with you. The whole experience taught me more than just how to handle food thieves. It showed me the importance of standing up for yourself professionally and documenting everything. It also demonstrated how one person's willingness to confront bad behavior can lead to positive changes for everyone. I still keep my spicy meals in rotation, though I've actually developed quite a collection of hot sauces now. My tolerance has gotten pretty impressive. I can handle the ghost pepper chicken without breaking a sweat these days. Some of my co-workers have even started joining me for Spicy Food Friday lunches, where we try different hot sauces and swap recipes. Last week, my story was featured in a workplace ethics seminar at a local business conference. They used it as an example of how seemingly minor issues like lunch theft can escalate into serious workplace conflicts if not addressed properly. The presenter contacted me afterward to say that my case has become required reading in several corporate HR training programs. So that's where things stand now. My food remains untouched, my career is thriving, and I've gained a reputation as someone who won't be pushed around. Plus, I've got a great story to tell at business meetings. Who knew some ghost peppers could lead to all this? To everyone dealing with workplace food thieves, document everything, know your rights, and don't be afraid to stand up for yourself. Just make sure you do it professionally and keep detailed records. And maybe keep some ghost peppers handy, you never know when they might come in useful. The next one is entitled People Story. I am extremely heartbroken and am in need of advice and even comfort. I don't want to use real names, so I'll be putting in different names. Thank you for understanding. Let me share with you all on what happened. I, 25/F, have been dating my boyfriend, 23/M, we will call him Jim, for a year now. It was long distance at first, but I moved to his home state in August so that we can be together physically. Everything was perfect. Jim and I were extremely happy with each other, always communicated, and we were just a happy couple. He works at a cafe and there he befriended one of his co-workers, 23/M, we will call him Derek. Derek has been inviting Jim to get a few drinks after work, and the two became good buds. I've met him before and he was really nice. Jim thought he was a cool guy too. Then in mid-October Derek would invite my boyfriend over to his place. They'll just hang, order pizza, and drink some beers apparently. Jim would text me that he would hang out with Derek after work then come home. I never required him to text me where he was, but Jim was always sweet to text me messages throughout the day. I did the same for him too. Throughout the entire night, Jim would tell me how he met Derek's girlfriend, 24/F, we will call her Karen, and that they were very nice people. I texted him back that it was awesome and sweet how the two invited him and shared a good time with him. I thought that was just that. So Karen and I have never seen each other. All I knew about her was that she was Derek's girlfriend. She was nice, and also I learned that she and Derek moved in together like early October. I thought that was pretty cute. That's all I knew about her. My boyfriend started to hang out at their place more often, and I would only think of it as something as co-workers/friends just hanging out after work. I do admit that I felt left out and even asked Jim if I could hang out with him. He would say it would be a hassle since then he would have to come get me from my work or at home then go to Derek's place, and also that they only hang out for a short while. I just would say all right and be done with it. I had a day off work and texted my boyfriend that I will come over to his workplace to have lunch together. He told me that would be awesome, so I went. It was pretty busy in there, but not super busy where the workers wouldn't be able to casually talk. I noticed my boyfriend working and one other girl. Between orders, this other girl would be touching Jim's arm and would smile at him. She would act really flirty with him, and my boyfriend seemed totally fine with it. It hurt because 1, he was letting another girl flirt with him, and 2, he always felt bothered if I would flirt with him in public. Mind you, I'm not all handsy, but I do playfully hug his arm. Well, Jim didn't notice me in there, so I just kept to myself. Until several of the customers walked out, Jim finally noticed me. We went out for lunch, but on our way out I asked him, "Who is your coworker?" And he told me it was Karen. I asked him if he found her attractive, and he said word for word honestly, "Not really. She's not ugly, but she's not pretty or anything." I told him how I felt about him and Karen acting that way in the cafe, and he only told me it was meaningless since that's how Karen is. I tried extremely hard to just kill my jealousy, but it really hurt me. I cried in the kitchen after Jim had gone to sleep that night. A few days after that event, Jim would be going to Derek's place after work and would come home really late. Earlier today he told me he would be hanging out with Derek again, and with my own insecurities boiling inside me, I asked Jim to stay home with me a few times of the week because we rarely saw each other due to our work schedules. We ended up arguing, and in my anger I snapped at him saying something like, "Fine then, you can go to your little threesome." His face went pale and just a sick feeling made me believe that what I had said out of anger was actually true. I asked him and he admitted it. I ultimately found out that my boyfriend has been having a threesome with Derek and his girlfriend after work almost every day since October. I asked Jim if he was bi, but Jim said they were just sharing Karen and it meant nothing. It was only sex. It hurt. A lot. Jim and I shared the same views that an open relationship never could work for us, that sex with another person while in this relationship would be viewed as cheating, and so on. He was the one who set down the ground rules, and I agreed to them. We both were very monogamous. At least I thought. I am completely heartbroken. Jim is in the other room just sitting at his desk, and I'm in the bedroom bawling my eyes out while seeking some sort of help from Reddit. Honestly, I have no friends here. The friends I have back at home didn't want me to go and we left on bitter terms. I'm ashamed to reach out to them for help. I just can't shake off this feeling of utter disgust and betrayal. I love my boyfriend so much. So very much. A pathetic part of me wants to just work on our relationship, but that is just a horrible choice. I know I should leave him and go back home or whatever, but right now I'm just in shock. Update. Thank you all for your kind and caring support. Though this all happened today, I have began making my next steps. I did end my relationship with Jim. The conversation was difficult to have, but it needed to be had. There were questions I needed to ask for my health, such as STIs and such. Though he did say he used protection, I still scheduled an appointment with my doctor for this coming weekend. Edit to add this part in, I overheard Jim's phone call with Derek. He told Derek what had happened and ended his relationship with them. He also said he is quitting his work tomorrow. I do feel bad but know that is purely his decision. Jim will be moving back into his parents' place tomorrow. I will be canceling my lease tomorrow morning. I did contact my best friend from back home and simply explained that I will be returning home. He offered to fly up here to help me, but I said no because I know I will break down. Right now, I need to keep strong. Seeing a friend here will only allow myself to break down into a huge mess. I'm doing my best to stay positive. I keep telling myself, better now than later. Good thing it's only been just a year and not 5 or more. Think of this as a life lesson. Do not hold grudges and do my best to move forward. It's hard, I admit, but continuing to tell myself those things helps me. I would love to believe that this experience has not swayed my views on relationships. Rather, I would love to believe that this experience and relationship has revealed a little more of myself. I still need to do a lot of reflecting, but that can come after I have done all the physical work, moving back to my home state. Again, everything seems to be happening so fast, but it's progress. Thank you all for your kind and loving support. I hope my experience and progress can be of some hope for others. I love my boyfriend extremely, and though I did not mention it in the post, I did make a lot more sacrifices for him than he has ever for me. Through all that, I don't see it as losing an investment in someone, but rather I am moving on for a healthier opportunity, and hopefully he will be able to learn from this as well. I have no plans on getting back together with him. His words were sweet and tempting, but they were poison. Are you hungry for more slices of stories? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to never miss out on any videos. See you tomorrow at Story Slices.